Welcome back, everybody. This is a brand new video here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Hinberg. Welcome to a new episode of Max Talks Box Office. Today, we're going to break down the box office of this past weekend, which was the final box office breakdown in the month of May, May 29th to the 31st. 2026. We're going to look at the overall numbers for the year, domestic and worldwide, and preview, because it is June 1st today, we're going to preview all of the brand new releases hitting theaters in June of 2026. So welcome back, everyone, to the channel. Without further ado, we have so much news to talk about. So let's get into it as we are going to break down the weekend, this past weekend, which was the 29th to the 31st domestically here in the United States and Canada. And at number one is Backrooms. This is the new A24 film from director Kane Parsons, making $81.4 million this past weekend. It opened globally to $118 million. This movie has a budget of $10 million. It's the first time ever a 20-year-old filmmaker has a movie number one at the domestic box office. People at the beginning of last week, I would say, were saying maybe this movie will open to 40 to 50 million. When we were getting closer to Friday and Thursday, people were saying maybe some 60, then maybe some 70, and now it has an 8 in front of it. $81 million makes Backrooms the biggest opening ever for A24, tripling the opening weekend from Civil War 2 years ago. The number it needs to beat globally is $191 million, which was made this past year by Marty Supreme in December into 2026. This movie is already $73 million away globally from becoming the highest grossing A24 movie, period, of all time. Very, very awesome. Heading into this weekend, A24 had Everything Everywhere All at Once, Materialists, Civil War, and Marty Supreme, gross over $100 million globally. That's the benchmark. This movie has a real shot to be the first A24 film into the $200 million club. The fact that it's a 20-year-old filmmaker. Now, the reactions aren't as like the critic scores are pretty strong. Audiences, it does have like a B minus cinema score, which is like I think pretty solid for horror. If it was like a regular movie, I wouldn't say that's a great audience score, but for horror, that's just fine. But the word of mouth, and now we're seeing a bunch of YouTubers, right, who want to become filmmakers getting their chances, right? We had Markiplier, we had the Talk to Me directors as well, uh, made a big impact. And then, of course, Obsession, we're going to talk about it. Curry Barker coming from YouTube, Chris Stuckman coming from YouTube, who made Shelby Oaks. And here we are now with Kane Parsons, made this Backrooms miniseries. And then you got a lot of premier producers, Sean Levy, Osgood Perkins, James Wan, and A24 backing him for this film. So horror is really hot, but the two films at the top of the box office are currently making historic numbers here at the domestic box office. Now let's get into the second weekend, the second place, which is Obsession. Once again, from Focus Features, it increased again, guys. It made 26.4. That is a 10% increase in its third weekend in theaters. It has made 104 domestic, 148 worldwide for Obsession. Again, this movie cost $750,000. Yes, Backrooms cost $10 million more than Obsession. Here's Obsession at 148 worldwide. It opened to around $17 million, had that 26% increase last week. Now a 10% increase, and that's with a huge horror hit with Backrooms hitting the multiplex. That is amazing. These two movies have absolutely dominated, made up $107 million combined this weekend. That is truly amazing from two first-time filmmakers who are coming from YouTube, making a movie on the big screen with big studios. Again, horror is very hot right now. You're going to see a bunch of horror movies throughout the year, and they're very cheap to make. That's why for like films like Passenger, which go by the wayside, these films are not that expensive. So even if they're failures, they're not big, big failures, but if they're massive successes, boy, are these studios and creators swimming in money. And that is going to be the case with Backrooms and Obsession. Barker already has a couple of jobs already lined up for him post Obsession. He's currently editing a movie and he's doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Backrooms director Kane Parsons rumored to be possibly working on a project with Osgood Perkins. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but watch out for horror filmmakers. We're really seeing, I think, the next generation of these top filmmakers right now. In third place, on a pretty bad note, is The Mandalorian and Grogu from Disney. It dropped 69% in its second weekend, making 25 million. So The Mando and Grogu is up to 137 domestic and 246 worldwide. This ended up truthfully being bad luck, as well as not really coming through with what people wanted from this movie, right? You're telling people who are been treated and been told this character is made for TV, not really worth seeing in the theater. Now you're hearing a lot of divisive reviews. Now people are saying, well, if people aren't really loving it, I'll stay home and catch it on Disney Plus like I did the other three seasons. That is a very valid point. And definitely a big, big reason why Mando and Grogu is not doing well in theaters. The second thing is obviously a year ago today, or whenever they gave this date to Mando and Grogu, they were not expecting to be bombarded by two horror historic movies hitting theaters in Obsession and Backrooms. No one did. Even at the beginning of the year, not a lot of people thought these two movies would be these sleeper, even if they're sleeper hits would have been great for Mando and Grogu, but 81 million for an opening, and now you have two movies that are grossing over 100 million worldwide is your competition. And then we're going to get some family-esque movies over the next couple of weeks. So Mando and Grogu needs to reach around 400 million to not be the least successful Star Wars movie from a financial perspective in theaters. Because even though Solo lost, is going to lose Solo, a Star Wars movie, lost a lot more money than Mando and Grogu will because of the budget. Solo did get to like 390 worldwide. That means Mando and Grogu needs another 150 million to not be the lowest grossing Star Wars film in theaters. The break even, which is not that hard, shouldn't have been that hard to get to, was around like 412 for the worldwide total. I am not sure it's going to get there. I was pretty lukewarm. I didn't expect Backrooms to get to 80 million, but this is not looking good for Mando. Now, is this a disaster for Star Wars? No. Again, this was Kathleen Kennedy's regime. She did approve this, but yes, Filoni, who's now running Lucasfilm, did write and produce the films. He deserves just as or more fault for the not success for this film. But again, Starfighter comes out next year. If that movie doesn't connect, if that movie gets great reviews, doesn't connect, then Star Wars could be in a problem. But again, this is their first movie in 6.5 years. They're just trying to welcome everyone back that Star Wars is back on the big screen. Michael is in its sixth weekend, only, and it did take one of its bigger drops, 43%, but still made another 11.7 million. It's up to 846 worldwide, 339 domestic. Again, it comes out in Japan a week from Friday, which a lot of people are believing will get Michael to the $1 billion mark, which obviously would be amazing. Here we are, a month and a half into its run. It's still making over $10 million in theaters. I've seen a lot of videos on social media, people doing watch parties, people dance parties, all of these things. It really has become an event movie that people want to see on the big screen. And that's a big win for Michael. Wrapping up the top five this past weekend is The Breadwinner. That's the new movie starring Nate Bargatze from Sony. It made 7.5 million in its domestic run. Don't have the international totals up yet for some reason. Not sure if it's because it hasn't released worldwide yet, but only 7.5 million. The budget is around 25 million for Breadwinner. So it needs to make around like 62 million to break even at the box office. Comedy is struggling right now, and this went for family comedy. And Nate Bargatze, who I guess is one of the most popular stand-up comedians right now, but it is tough right now for stand-up comedians who are to be super famous, I guess, at this point. They're just not as big of a deal as they were 15, even 10 years ago. So Bargatze opened a movie, 7.5 was not a total disaster. Pressure did not get into the top five. Tuner did not get into the top five. But yeah, it opened a movie to 7.9. Not great, not awful, not bad, not good either. Let's move on to the domestic total so far this year. As you can see here to the left of me, Super Mario Galaxy is at number one, 427. Project Hail Mary is at 341. Michael will pass Project Hail Mary when I talk to you guys next weekend. Devil Wears Prada at four, Hoppers at five, Mando and Grogu at seven, Scream seven at eight, Obsession getting into the $100 million club. Domestic is at number nine, and Goat is at number 10. Looking at the worldwide box office for this year so far, yes, you see that correctly. Super Mario Galaxy is $9 million away from joining the billion-dollar club. The first Super Mario in 2023 got to around 1.3 billion worldwide. Yes, this movie definitely did not do as well as the first one, but this film is crawling its way to the billion-dollar mark. We will see if it officially gets there in the near future. Michael also trying to get there is at 846. Hail Mary at three, Prada at four, Hoppers at six, Mando and Grogu at seven, Wuthering Heights at eight, and Scream 7 rounds up the top 10 at number 10. Now, let's break down the June releases that are hitting theaters, guys. I like to do this at the beginning of every month to get you set on what you guys are going to be able to see in theaters. The big movie coming out this weekend is Masters of the Universe from Amazon. I'm going to an early Amazon screening for that movie on Wednesday night. So you get my out-of-theater reaction on Wednesday, my full review for the movie on Thursday. Scary Movie is also hitting wide release this past weekend. Horror is doing really well. How about a comedy about horror movies? That feels like it's a match made in heaven. Big franchise as well. It's hitting theaters. I'm seeing that movie on Thursday. So get my out-of-theater reaction for Scary Movie on Thursday, review on Friday. In limited release this upcoming weekend is Power Ballad. That's the new film starring Nick Jonas and Paul Rudd. I'm going to a critic screening tomorrow night on Tuesday, so get my out-of-theater reaction Tuesday, review for that movie on Wednesday. Hitting theaters on June 12th will be Disclosure Day. That is the new film directed by Steven Spielberg. His first movie since The Fabelmans. Hasn't had a big box office hit in 8 years since Ready Player One back in 2018. We'll see if he can get some magic back. The Furious, a action movie, is hitting theaters. I believe that is a screen unseen tonight. If it is, you'll get my out-of-theater reaction tonight and my review tomorrow for The Furious. Hitting theaters on June 19th is Toy Story 5, a billion-dollar franchise. 3 and 4 got to $1 billion, and based on projections, after the tickets came on sale last week, it's supposed to be by far the biggest opener of the year. That movie has billion-dollar film all over it. The Death of Robin Hood from A24 will also hit theaters this weekend, as well as the horror film Leviticus. Wrapping up the month of June will be DC Supergirl. Not a lot of heat for this movie. But we'll see if DC, Superman made around like $600-ish million worldwide. Can Supergirl probably won't get close to that, but it can at least be a respectable number for James Gunn and DC. We'll see. Also, Jackass, Best and Last, the final Jackass movie, is also hitting theaters on June 26th. What are you guys excited to see in theaters? What are you going to see? Like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.